So glad you could join us today. I'm Marlon Bowling with a look at our ag commodity trade, and I'm joined by Brian Hoops of Midwest Market Solutions in Springfield, Missouri right now. Brian, your reaction to the market swings that we have seen to the downside here, given the USDA numbers that we've seen and all the other fundamentals that you can throw at this grain market right now. Why the extreme weakness in your opinion?
Yeah, good morning, Marlon. We are seeing some weakness here in the grain markets, kind of spilling over from yesterday. We posted outside day lower in the corn, soybean meal, wheat contracts. All these had some real technical weakness yesterday, pulling off of Sunday night's highs. Weather is maybe not as threatening as what it had been advertised going into the weekend. And in fact, there was some surprise rain showers across parts of southwest Iowa, parts of Nebraska overnight. And now they're talking that this heat is not going to last as long as what they had originally thought. So we are pulling back off of our highs. But with that being said, we pulled back from the 460 range in the December corn over 25 cents. And we started to see some buying interest develop. And it does look like we get beans close to the $9 mark, or December corn close to that 430, 435 area. We are going to see some buying interest pick up. But, the traders know that this is going to be a very long and very volatile growing season. We have a big report coming up August the 12th as far as supply and demand. That'll include prevent planting acres and a resurvey of farmers' intentions acres. So there's a lot of things that can happen going forward. And I think most people want to be positioned from the long side and are going to use some weakness into that 430 range to try and do it.
Well, a lot of comments on social media had centered around the fact that, when USDA modified their numbers a while back, they stuck with that 166 bushels per acre yield estimate for the corn. And quite a few analysts had said, well, that would almost be assuming a perfect year from here on out. And it doesn't seem like it's exactly a perfect year at this point.
Yeah, we're going to really need a really good growing season, almost like a perfect year, like you mentioned, to get this crop to that level. We're going to have good weather for pollination, some timely rains, and of course can't have an early frost this year. So it's going to be, as I said, a very long growing season. We're under some heat in some areas that are starting to pollinate. But we have gotten some rains. Guys across Iowa have told me they got some rains last week before this heat came, and that was at a good time. Now we've got some more rains in Nebraska, southwest Iowa, parts of Missouri that really needed some rain showers. They're starting to pick up some of those rains. So USDA, the crop ratings have not improved a great deal. They're still rated pretty low compared to historical numbers. And it certainly argues that the USDA should bring those yield numbers down at some point in the growing season.
All right, as we look at our prices, and you're right, where the guys and gals did grab some rain out there, it did definitely give a boost to that crop, that's for sure. The fortunate ones that got that situation. On the corn right now, we are weaker. We are not as weak as we had been in the early going. We have the corn roughly 5 to 6 cents lower now. We have the soybean trade still showing weakness, but down roughly about 8.5 cents right now. So it has come off its lows. On the wheat market in Chicago, we are currently just around a penny lower here, fractionally to a penny lower. And Kansas City has had almost the same pattern today. Just kind of narrowly mixed to the downside mainly, but the far out deferreds may be a little higher. We'll come back and talk more with Brian Hoops in just a moment, and we'll sort out our livestock markets for you here on a Tuesday when we come back. Brian Hoops is our guest, and he is the president of Midwest Market Solutions in Springfield, Missouri. What are conditions in Springfield, Missouri today, Brian? Are you in the heat, or has it cooled down since Barry went skidding by?
Yeah, it was a pretty cool day yesterday. Didn't even get out of the 70s with,
really?
And kind of starting the morning off that way. Kind of cloudy. Didn't really get any rain, which we were hoping we would get something. But it's going to warm up by the weekend, be in the mid to upper 90s, and feel like much hotter than that with the heat index. So it's definitely summer here in Missouri.
Well, we wondered if the heat was going to take a toll on livestock production this week. So it sounds like some areas are feeling cooler weather right now, but it's supposed to really ramp up later on this week with very high heat indices out there around the country. Do you think that could be a factor in the next few days?
Yeah, I think it certainly will be, and it's certainly going to stress the cattle, the livestock in the area. They're pretty well taken care of, but anytime you have that much heat, it's certainly going to affect weight gain. We did see steer weights down about 5 pounds last week, and week before that they were unchanged. So certainly it's having an effect, as it does every summer. But a lot of the ranchers, producers do take very good care of their livestock, and so it may not be such a major market moving. In fact, we were seeing weakness in the cattle futures despite the forecast for extreme heat later this week.
Well, the cattle futures, as you mentioned, are lower today. And right now, as we look at our prices in Chicago, we have the August live cattle down 40 at 108.10 and October down 60 at 109.17. All the deferreds are about 50 to 65 cents lower there on the feeder cattle market. Here you have weakness creeping in again. We at one point had been higher on the day, and now you have August now 22 lower again at 141.43. September down 65 at 141.95, and the deferreds are all at least 80 cents to the downside. Some analysts have been talking about how disappointed they are in that kind of movement when you have the corn market down again. So we'll keep an eye on this feeder cattle market today. And looking at the lean hogs, here we go with the lean hogs showing August down 65 cents. We're at 79.45, but all the other months are higher. And October lean hogs are now 70 higher at 74.60. December up 90 at 72.70. All right, thanks, Brian, for talking with us. Brian Hoops, Midwest Market Solutions. He's in Springfield, Missouri. So anyway, nice to hear it's cooler for somebody.
Yeah, for now anyway.
For now.
That heat will crank the end of the week. Thank you, Marlon.
Good point.